Right now, make it loud for E1. Ooh!
Hey, what's up, guys? I'll tell you a joke. Alright, there's this businessman, right? And he's like off some faraway land, on some business trip, and he goes to this like forbidden gift shop, right? And then he's looking for this one particular item that he's heard of. And so the guy shows it to him. He's like, here it is, right? It's the voodoo dick, you know? And he's like, oh man, I have to have this, right? And he's like, no way, it's too powerful. He's like, I'll give you $1 million. And he's like, all right. So he buys it, and he takes it home to his wife. She's like, what the hell is this? And he's like, all right, check this out. Voodoo dick, the dog's ass, right? And so voodoo dick pops out of the box and starts fucking the dog's ass, you know? Yeah, she's like, what the hell is this, right? And he's like, yeah, all right, watch, voodoo dick, the box. And so it jumps out of the dog's ass and goes to the box, you know? And she's like, what the hell? He's like, yeah, you can use it if you're ever like lonely or something. And she's like, I'm not gonna use that. I'm like, well, whatever, I don't know, happy anniversary. Anyway, a couple months goes by, and then he goes on another business trip. This time he's away for a very long time. So after about 4 months or so, she starts getting lonely, right? So she's like, the voodoo dick. So she goes, okay, voodoo dick, my pussy, right? So it starts fucking her, right? And she's like, oh wow, it works really well. But then she forgets how to turn it off, She's like, oh crap. And then anyway, she has to go to work the next day. So she just like puts her clothes on over it, And she shows up to work. She's like, ooh, And then boss like, hey, what's wrong with you, And she's like, nothing. Ooh, It's like, no, there's something definitely wrong with you, I can tell. She's like, no, nothing, it's nothing. He's like, no, you better tell me or you're gonna get fired, right? She's like, all right, it's this thing called a voodoo dick. And he's like, what? Voodoo dick my ass. I was in the United States Army, first cavalry unit before.
Right.
Yeah, I have to tell you this so the rest of the except. Yeah, it was weird being the only person in the Army though. And every day people just looking at me like, are we supposed to shoot this guy? I'll tell you a story. The day I left for the Army, right? My mom, she came home early from work that day. She'd never done this before. Anyway, so we go to lunch, and then I was so nervous, I couldn't eat anything. And then we get home, and I'm getting ready, I get all my stuff ready for my recruiter, right, waiting for him to show up. And then a couple hours go by, and I'm starting to think, well, what if he doesn't show up, But then as soon as that clock fucking strikes, the second he said he'd be there, I hear these footsteps, like outside, and like going up the steps. And I know it's him because he's walking like really slow, like not like a normal person. And then I can hear him going up the steps and walking down the hall, and I hear him stop in front of the door, and then he knocks, right? Like, like super slow, right? So I open the door, and it's him. And I've seen him about 5 times before this point, but I'd never seen him in this full uniform. They call it the dress blues. He's got all like medals and shit. I was like, holy crap, this guy's like a war hero. Anyway, so I grabbed my stuff, and I turned to my mom, and Asian people, we're not like the most affectionate people in the world, right? So she just kind of looks at me and is like, bye, son. So, wow, okay. So I grab my stuff and I go with my recruiter. We go down the hall, we go down the stairs, we get into his car, and we back up, and just as we're about to pull out, my mom comes flying down the fucking stairs, and tears are just fucking pouring down her face and shit. She like runs to the car, she like jumps onto the back of it and shit. And she's like, I love you, son, don't die, come home and shit. And I was like, oh crap, yeah, I will, mom, I give her a great big hug and shit. And we drive off, and I look back, and she's standing on the side of the road just bawling, like, And I was like, man, that's crazy, So I call her about an hour later because I'm all worried about her and shit. And she's all partying with all her friends. And I tell you this story. Every now and then people were like, oh, you were in the Army, what, you think you're better than me? All right, let me tell you a story. My basic training was comprised of 200 men, broken up into 4 platoons. We were 3rd platoon. We were the House of Pain. Now, 2nd platoon, they were the warlords. They were like our arch rivals, right? Everyone knew that we were the 2 best platoons, but we didn't know which one was best. Anyway, competition for honor platoon is about to start in a couple weeks. So one night, as we're sitting there taking showers, we look down, and 2nd platoon's down there getting smoked, Smoke means they're getting punished, like do push-ups, do sit-ups, front, back, left, right, whatever. And so it sucks, we're looking down at them, we're like, sucks to be them. And then the very next night, same thing, as we're writing letters home and taking showers, we look down and they're all getting smoked again. We're like, look at them. And same thing, 3rd night, 4th night, 5th night, 6th, 7th. After 2 weeks, this is not funny anymore. None of us are laughing after this. We're like, holy fuck, they're gonna take honor platoon. Look at them, they're training every night. So anyway, the competition starts up, and the first event is the obstacle course, and they win it, they take it. The second event is marksmanship shooting, and we win that. Now the third event is grenade throwing, they win that. Right? And the fourth event is drill, we win that. Now this fifth event is bayonet fighting. Now I took martial arts in high school, so I was a pretty good bayonet fighter. So in my platoon, I was the middleweight, right? There was light, middle, heavyweight. And so the event starts. Now we, third platoon, we first go against fourth platoon, and we win. Now second platoon, they go against first platoon, and they win. Then we go against first platoon, and then we win. And then they go against fourth platoon, and they win. Now the next event is me, it's us versus them. You know, it's not just it's me versus one of them, right? So my whole platoon's looking at me. They're like, "Dude, you can't fucking lose this. You know, you have to fucking win, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I will, right?" I look over at the other guy. You know, he's like a black dude, and he's a little bit shorter than me, but he's bigger than me. And so like it starts right. They go, and we both just like rush at each other in attack. You know, and his way, he would always try to hit me with like the back end of the rifle, right, like the rifle butt, you know. But my way is I always thrust like that, like forward. You know, my way's better, right? So like right away I hit him in the face mask because we're wearing like these football helmets. He's like, boom, he's like, oh, he almost falls down and shit. And they're like, oh, go back to your corner, right? 2 points wins, you know? So he goes back there and I can hear his whole team talking to him. They're like, come on, man, you gotta get this, they're like, you gotta get this Chinese motherfucker, you know? Anyway, he turns around, all I can see are his fucking eyeballs, right? He's like, you know, and so they're like, go, right? Both, this time we're both like, you know, we both kind of creep up on each other. And as soon as he tries to hit me, I do the same thing. I go, boom, and I hit him in the face and shit. And he's like, oh, you know. And then they go, you win, right? So I'm like, fuck yeah. And I grab my stick and I throw it down. And I turn to my guys, I'm like, fuck yeah. And then they're all like, yeah. And I jump into them, right? And they're all like hitting me on top of the helmet and shit. And then one of them starts grabbing my leg, right? I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? But then I realized what he's trying to do. And everyone realized at the same time. They all like picked me up and shit, and they like formed this ball under me and shit. And it's not so much that they love me, you know, but they were trying to show the other team, like, yeah, we won, you know, this is our guy, like, your guy sucks, right? And so they were carrying me around the whole ring and shit. We're like, house up, bang, house up, bang, house up, bang. Oh, it was fucking awesome, you know? And then the Warlords, after that defeat, they were so demoralized that we won every single event after that. And we took honor platoon, you know? Yeah, so when people ask me, like, do I think I'm better than you? I'm like, I don't have to say anything, you know what I mean? But I will. You goddamn right I'm better than you. What the hell y'all ever done with your life, you know what I mean? Do you know how to fight with a bayonet? Shit, I won a bayonet fighting tournament in the Army. I'll tell you another story. Yeah, the day we did M60 training, you know the M60 is a light machine gun. It's the Rambo gun, right? And so this day we're all watching our drill sergeants, 200 of us, we're all sitting in the bleachers. We're watching our 4 drill sergeants shoot the Rambo gun correctly, right? They're like laying down and they're shooting like short control bursts. And all of a sudden one of them's like, fuck this, right? And he gets up and he holds the gun just like Rambo, right? With one arm like this and the other arm he's holding the bullets, you know? He's like, da, 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 da. He's like, oh, right? Now we're all watching, like, what the fuck? And we're like, yeah, fuck yeah, it's fucking awesome, right? Now the other 3 drill sergeants, they hear us cheering and they're all looking around like, what's going on? But then they see that guy up there, they're like, oh, fuck this. And so they all stand up and they pick up their machine guns. And so they're all like, you got 4 grown men standing there, right? Machine guns, sitting there, like, ah, yeah. And behind them is fucking 200 young guys. And we're all just screaming as loud as we can, like, yeah, it's fucking awesome, oh, fuck yeah. Oh man, it's the most fucking testosterone-filled event I've ever been a part of in my life. By the end of the day, we all had sore throats and full-grown beards and shit. I'm gonna take a couple more jokes. You know, a lot of important things were invented in China, right? Like paper, noodles, gunpowder. One thing not invented in China, though, driving. Yeah, a couple weeks back, I was doing jokes up here, and those dudes sitting right there, giving me the Jada Pinkett face. You ever seen the Jada Pinkett face? And they're like, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Don't be sitting there giving me no Jada Pinkett face. You better knock that shit off before I give you the Will Smith hanger. Yeah, you know, Asian people, like, we love Jewish people, you know. We respect and admire them so much. But they don't love us too much, you know. And I think I know why. It's because of our eyes, you know. It's because if you look, it's not that my eyes are slanted or small. It's that, like, we have an extra layer of skin over our eyelids. It's basically a foreskin, right? And you know how Jewish people feel about foreskin, so. Comedians always tell you two things, right? They always tell you when they just get booked on a show. They always tell you when they just had sex. That's a bit juvenile, right? Like myself, I haven't been booked on a show in over a month. But I did get laid last week, so hoo-oh!
Yeah, keep it going for E1, dude. And this uncircumcised dog. Dude, I'm pretty sure that dog has shaken